Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for LePage Live. We are diving into June 2021's real estate market and making sense of those statistics and numbers here in the Rose City. I'm Bumanlag, joined by our owner and broker of record, Mr. Frank Binder. Always a pleasure to see you, sir. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. Thank you very much, Barnes. Good to see you as well.
It is
Great.
always a pleasure to pick your brain and really dive deep into what people are talking about in terms of the numbers and what June was for the real estate market here in Windsor, Essex. And I know with your lens and your scope, Frank, there's quite a few numbers that we did receive from the real estate board too that we can dive into and talk about, because the market, I think, continues to be a very interesting one, to say the least.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely, for sure. Yeah, especially in the month of June. We saw a lot of little subtle changes in June. We'll talk about them momentarily, but yeah, absolutely. A lot of great information there, and that's why we take a great deal of pride in dissecting them and sharing them with our office. It's really important for us to stay very current with what's going on.
So let's take a look at some of those numbers. Specifically this, I thought this was very interesting. And this, again, came from our friends over at the Real Estate Board, too. This is a market analysis, right, from June 1st to July 6th. And cancellations, Frank, taking a look at these numbers, what are you picking up from this?
Well, we actually made this slide from when we examined all of June's listings and all the market off what we call the hot sheets. So we have these hot sheets come through every day, and we realized that during that period of time, as you can see, from June 1st to July the 6th, 2,447 listings were taken and 521 cancellations were made, which is about 22, almost 21.5% of the market. And basically then when you relisted those properties, what happened? Did the prices go up? Did the prices decrease? Did they stay at the same? We don't know the reasons for the cancellations. So basically this is what it is. But it was quite startling to see that that a lot of people were repositioning the listings in one way or the other in the month of June. And all of us talk about that frequently. A few of us go back and add it all up and see what that means. So this is something we wanted to share with certainly with our group, get a sense of what was going on in June.
Do you think this is I guess, a strategy, with the cancellation, Frank, or is that something, with those numbers, or no?
No, it's a reaction to the strategy. So,
strategy.
Real estate agents had this list under the market, bring a lot of buyers to the forefront, see what happens. Unfortunately, what's happening is that not all these buyers are showing up. So the strategy that I've employed in the last 3-4 months may not be always working in the situation that we're finding. And what does that mean? Well, that means that maybe there's a bit of a lull in demand. There's some of the things aren't quite working. Maybe we've got to the apex of the price structure that we're dealing with. Although in June we saw just ever so slight increases in the average price, but that is a substantially slow down from the 10 and 20% averages we've seen on a monthly basis going in the past. So it's certainly a slowdown. We need to pay attention to it, and we need to pay attention to a trend. If there's a trend where our market is changing from a seller's market into a balanced market, we need to pay attention to that for the sake of all of our clients, both buyers and sellers.
Frank, in your opinion, if it does become a balanced market as opposed to the market that we've been experiencing for quite some time, do you still feel that Windsor's in a fairly good position as we move forward in the next 5-10 years?
For sure. Listen, the subtle changes that we're looking at isn't dramatic. It's not a fall in the market or anything like that. Market's still robust. And whether we're getting multiple offers or we're not getting multiple offers, if we're getting sales, the sales to listing ratios that we've been seeing are still well into the 60s. The last 2 months, we've seen drops from in the 70s range to 68 and now 64. But I mean, the bottom line is that that's still robust. It's still a robust market. A lot of listings still selling. If there's going to be ultimately changes in the price, well, that could be the case. But right in the moment, we're still seeing a lot of buyers and a lot of sellers getting their properties sold and bought. Right, so that will continue. We don't see that being a change in the ensuing several months.
Another graph I wanted to bring up today and kind of get your opinion and your deep dive on this too is the original price versus sold price. And again, some of this data pulled from the Windsor Essex County Association of Realtors board. What do you make of these numbers here, Frank, for last month?
Yeah, we just took this right off the matrix system. It's available to all realtors. Basically, what we're seeing is, if you look at this, you see the blue. These are the prices that were being achieved, and they're well above list price. But that's also because of the strategy that was employed. So the list price was never really the market price, is below market price. So the list prices were expected to be less. But if you look at the differences between the sale price and what the list prices were at, what you're seeing is that the price, the actual list price, is coming closer to what the price that is achieved. Especially when you look at the last one, which is in July, really June and July, you're starting to see a downtrend, which is not what we've seen. We've seen we saw it pop up in early March and all the way through April, May, with maybe a slight drop, but it was still strong. And you had that same thing going into April, into June, and then right about the middle of June, it started to taper off. So what are we seeing now? We're seeing the list prices in those last two final graphs where they're basically the same, but we're seeing less of the sale price being so much above the list price. So what does that mean? I'm not achieving the $150,000 to $200,000 anymore. I'm maybe getting $50,000 more, but I'm getting substantially less than what we were getting before. Why? We're getting less people who are clamoring for the same house. So I'm not getting the 10 to 15. Does that mean we don't get it? Yes, you do. You're still getting some properties where that's happening, but not all properties. And sometimes what's happening, based on that previous slide, I have to rejig my strategy to list that property below the market and get these, because buyers are not showing up. And we're seeing more and more of that, where we're not getting buyers to even bring an offer in the first 5 days of the listing. There are obviously some things, and we'll talk about that shortly, about as to why that might be the case. But we've, when we proceeded down this path of listing below the market, and now what's happening is that a lot of buyers are expecting to have to pay $150,000 over the market. That is not the case today. So buyers have got it. And so what they're basically doing is basically waiting out the seller for that 5 days to see what happens to it. Does it sell? Doesn't it sell? And now that strategy has to be rejigged, so to speak, by canceling the listing, putting on a new price. And generally what happens is either up or down or wherever the case might be, depending on what the agent's telling the seller to do. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to get our office, particularly our office, to consider that. Make sure that you're absolutely sure that you're going to get multiple offers on a property. Do your homework, do your CMAs, do your time on market, and so on. All the various things that you're going to have to do to be sure that that's the right strategy for your seller. And that's really what we're trying to do. We will have a bit of we'll have some work to do with regard to convincing the sellers that you're not going to get 12 offers. And they listen. They've been getting that, so. It's not panic, but there's, it's a little bit angst when I don't get all these people flocking to my house and why didn't it sell? But I get that, so the bottom line is, doesn't mean it won't sell. It may just take more time. And we've been in this market now 3-4 years. So the expectation, even on our part as realtors, are it's got to sell in a week. Well, I've been around for a long time. We never had houses selling in a week way back when. So the bottom line is we may have to get more to that kind of normal market that we've experienced in the past.
I just wanted to give a shout out to some of our viewers today. Frank Paul saying, very informative. This is much appreciated. And I think a lot of folks appreciate that advice, right? I mean, we've been accustomed to something for so long, and sort of that unprecedented theme that has been really 2020 into 2021. And that extends to the real estate market, where it's nice to take a look at it from a strategic lens and say, hey, wait a second, we can look at the data and kind of say there are things that are happening here because things are going to perhaps change as we march forward.
And I want to tell you this. I'm also getting this from my counterparts in the rest of Ontario. We're seeing that same kind of slowdown in other markets. It's not just Windsor. So the bottom line is that doesn't mean that that suddenly the price is going to take a big hit and we're going to drop like a lead balloon. That isn't going to be the case. It will be a trend that has to occur over a period of time. When we see these trends changing like we do, these are very minor changes. So we saw the average price raise ever so slightly in June, all right? And we will likely see if it continues that way, where the price will probably stay or drop ever so slightly. But this is not like a lead balloon where it just drops right off the down. That is not the case at all. We also have to keep in mind that Toronto people who have they've been in this type of market for 10 years. They've got a lot more buyers than we do. So we always want to look at where's those buyers coming from. We also have now other competition for first-time buyers. For example, one of the things I want to talk about today is there's an awful lot of condo projects going on. So when you take first-time buyers and they're moving to theirs and put the reservations on these condos, and they're 100 at a time, and we've got a bunch of them that sold. We've got condos that have sold out, or they put reservations on it. Those buyers come out of the market, so they're not clamoring for that 350 to the 400,000 property at the point, and so we've lost those buyers. That softens up the home market a little bit because the condo market has taken its place in a sense. So we have to keep that in mind, that those projects are going on and they're doing wonderfully well. A lot of people have made the choice to do those things, to go to a condo apartment, and which is nothing wrong with it. We see people who are retiring there. We also see buyers who are buying it to rent it out. We have all those types of things going on. So the market is still very strong. It's just, where are they going? Are they going to the existing home? Are they going to the new condo, or just exactly that? That's no different than the upper end of the market, where they're going to new houses as opposed to existing higher end homes. So you're always got that competition going on. So those are the nuances in the business that we have to pay attention to.
So Frank, I mean, from what I'm taking away from your insight on this, I mean, the market is still robust, right? I mean, It's just one of those things where we need to keep an eye, I guess, on the economics as they play out over the next couple of months as quote unquote society gets back to normal.
Right. And you know what, Booms, we're moving out of a pandemic. We have to also realize that as we move out of the pandemic, there's a certain degree of uncertainty that we have to pay attention to. People are concerned about their jobs, about whether they're going to be called back to work. Hey, we've got people that can't get people to work. We've got all kinds of stuff going on. So you're going to have some of that period of uncertainty that's going to affect the buyer. What do I mean by that? If things are uncertain for me, will I make that big decision to buy my home right now, or will I wait? And I think some are pausing to see what's going to come in the next 2 or 3 months as we move out of this the pandemic and into more of a kind of a normal situation, if you will. And also, are the economics going to come to play? So what's happening now are all, like, for example, let's talk about the casino. How many of those people are coming back? Well, they're coming back, but they're coming back in small tranches, right? So the casino is going to have to play out how, are we going to get back to normal tomorrow? Not necessarily. And that's with all things that we've got going on. It's going to take months and months for that to happen. And because it's going to take that much time, it's also going to take us a while for us to get ready for whatever changes come to the market. There's a certain degree of uncertainty. It's affecting a lot of people in making a decision, period.
Frank, would you say too that over the next 5-10 years, especially in this area in Windsor, Essex, that there's discussion to be had and is continuing to be ongoing for that affordable housing strategy, right? To make sure that we're able to kind of get those first-time home buyers into the market with something that really fits their budget.
Yeah, and you know what? The government's had discussions about it all across southwestern Ontario. There's projected growth. I mean, we're talking in the next 10 years. With the amount of immigrations we're going to have, we're going to get a good share of that. Toronto's going to get the lion's share, but a lot of southwestern Ontario is going to get a lot of that as well. We're talking about growth from a population base of 450,000 roughly to possibly even to 750,000. That's going to be substantial growth. So we're no longer going to sit where where Windsor is the tail end of the province anymore. We're going to see a lot more people coming here. We certainly have the infrastructure for them to come here, and we're going to see that growth occurring. So is the real estate market going to be, there'll be changes to it for sure, slightly up or down, I don't see any major changes in the next little while. There will be corrections. We'll certainly have those corrections, but I don't see that this area is going to be struggling in terms of getting people to come here. We're going to be a good provider for jobs, for a good lifestyle. We've always had a good income, average income. So that will support the housing prices that we currently have for sure. If it goes up, we will struggle like any other place with regard to affordable housing. But we need to come up with those answers. We're looking to the government for it. We need to. It's obviously going to have to be a combination of the private sector and the government work together on those programs. But it definitely has to be here, and I think everybody's cognizant of that today.
Any lasting comments, insight for our discussion here, Frank? I know we do this on a monthly basis to kind of dive into the numbers, but overall, I know our agents and our salespeople are very busy.
Yeah, absolutely. We are extremely busy, and everything's going well. I think we have to be just aware of the changes that we've that are coming forward with regard to our pricing strategies, and make both our buyer and our seller aware of that. We're trying to do our part, and we certainly hope that other real estate brokers will follow suit and do that as well. I'm sure we're all having the same conversation, arms. So it's no question about it. We've got to recognize what's going on in the market. We certainly do. So will be interesting to see where it goes over the next several months. All right.
Well, I appreciate your time as always, my friend. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and great to dive into those numbers with you to make sense of what a lot of folks are talking about here in Windsor, Essex.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. My friend Frank Binder, owner and broker of record of Royal LePage Binder Real Estate. And you know what? They are ready to help you make a move or answer your questions when it comes to the world of real estate here in Windsor, Essex. RoyalLePageBinder.com. Great folks to deal with. Happy to have Frank on the show, and we check in with him each and every month to run down those numbers here live on social media. We'll be back again with another great individuals in the next couple of days. We'll be back with Royal LePage Binder live. We'll be talking to some of our sales representatives from across the region on Thursday. So have a great rest of the day, and thanks for tuning in.